down. And my first thought was, that poor kid, like, that kid, I can't imagine. I mean, who knows? Maybe some kids are like, yay, he shut the school down. But for the most part, that kid must be at home, like, feeling all sorts of shame and guilt. And that's another kind of shame that we haven't, I mean, as a society, we haven't really prioritized healing shame or guilt. And also COVID and being the person who tested positive in a group of people, there's all this shame and guilt that comes along with that. And it's the way we talk about it is as though it's just statistics. Like, these aren't human beings, they're just statistics. They're just like, oh, there was a case here that it spread here, there was a case here, as though they aren't human beings with
numbers.
Yes. And it concerns me to think about, like, okay, what about that kid though? Like, it's, the school did what it needed to do, took precautions, but what are they doing for that kid who's like sitting at home probably thinking on repeat, it's all my fault, it's all my fault, it's all my fault?
Yeah, that can cause isolation in a different way, right? Some kids, and this is where it also does depend on the child, because both of my kids they're different. Like, they're so different. I cannot even begin to compare them. And I don't like to compare, but at the same time, we all do. My daughter would be one of those kids. Guilt and shame. My son would be like, yeah, I helped everyone to stay home. Right? So, kind of like, one is driven by guilt and shame and people pleasing, and the other one is confident in himself and sees the positive most of the time, right? Because they all sometimes, when you take technology away from them, oh, I'll never get it, and all of a sudden all the optimist is out the window. But he would be the one that say, look, I got you guys all to stay home from school, no more school.
I'm a hero.
Exactly, right? But at the same time, the other kids like Mila would create guilt and shame in a child like my son, Ethan. And that can also be the cause or the effect of everything that's kind of going on.
Yeah. Like saying, like she would say to Ethan, it's your fault.
Yeah.
Yeah, I imagine there's a lot of that happening.
Yeah. Right. And
yeah.
And that, like, that can spike up bullying as well, directed at one specific child.
Oof. Oof.
So there's a lot, and that is the other side of the fears of parents. Am I making the right decision for my child, because they're not able to, because they're not of age to make a decision for themselves, right? One of my kids couldn't wait to go to school, the other one didn't want to, because Mila wanted to go to socialize, to play with friends. She loves that. And my son didn't want to go because video games, he wants to play. He wants to stay home with mommy. Right? He's always wanted to stay home with mommy. So what's going to happen? Like, what's going to happen to the parents as well?
Yeah.
If a kid tests positive.
And I can only imagine, like, I know in a town like my town, a town like your town, where there is a lot of the keeping up with the Joneses type of attitudes among parents, that, and like gossip. I'm like, oh, did you hear about so and so? Her kid passed COVID on to the whole school. Like, I can only imagine the kind of pressure that puts on parents to comply and conform.
Oh. It's like,
I don't know.
comply?
Yeah.
Being arrested? Conform? No.
You're in a rebel. It's like those two words
Yeah.
literally made you shudder.
Yeah. Did you use them on purpose? Yeah. That would definitely test a parent like me.
Hmm.
And as earlier we were talking about uh, being like some people being forced to go and take a test
Yeah.
for whatever reason, whether it's family, whether it's friends, whether it's school, whether it's work. Oh, I would not do well in a corporate environment. I probably would have quit the moment that they told me to put a mask on.
Well, I mean, you did. You quit a corporate environment when they told you that using emotional intelligence and like being yourself was not how you operate in that kind of environment. So I could
Yeah.
imagine that you would absolutely quit being told to put a mask on. I couldn't imagine like I couldn't imagine telling you to do anything really.
Well, my husband tries. Sometimes he succeeds, right? But this is where there's telling and then there's asking.
Yeah. And also again like where others do succeed in um, inspiring us, I guess, or motivating us to adjust according to their standards. For us, like as I mentioned earlier with my mom, who is so anxious about COVID, that for me, taking the test, even though for me it's not authentic for me, like I wouldn't go if it wasn't for my family. I wouldn't go and I wouldn't choose to go and take a test, a COVID test, but knowing that it brings my mom peace of mind, it's enough to deviate from, I mean, it's not a deviation completely because it is love for my family. I'm still in alignment with that love for my family.
Mm-hmm.
Like a core value has always been helping my mom to alleviate her anxiety. And again, there's a balance between enabling and empowering. And in that case, I do feel like I'm enabling her paranoia a bit. Um, and maybe
Mm-hmm.
there's a balance. And
Yeah.
when it comes to COVID, I'm not gonna push her. Like she's just, again, she's a nurse. She's hearing a completely different feedback loop from what I'm hearing because I talked to you, I talked to Kelsey, I talked to Emmy, and Shell, and a lot of people who focus our immune systems, understanding our immune systems, and therefore trusting our immune systems. And
Yeah.
so very different from my mom's feedback loop, which I used to work in that office, and I remember what it was like. And I remember when drug reps for pharmaceuticals would come in and just be like regular salespeople and salespeople for drugs. And so that's the norm in that kind of environment. Just
Mm-hmm.
this like celebration of medication. Like it's really glorifying pharma, that kind of environment, and glorifying vaccines. Like my mom was like, "You're gonna get a flu shot this year," and I was like, "I've never had a flu shot," and I only got the flu once, and it was when I was in law school. I was going to school at night. I was addicted to Adderall. I wasn't eating food. I was just drinking coffee and Red Bull and Adderall and candy, and and not sleeping. And so yeah, I got the flu. I was going on the T every day to the subway, surrounded by people. So my immune system was already weakened from my lifestyle. I've since changed my lifestyle, haven't had the flu since, never had a flu shot. And so when she brought up getting a flu shot, I was like, well, if it means if staying here means I have to get a flu shot, then I just won't stay here. I'll go back and live with Chris. But it's just, in her world, the flu shot is everything.
Yeah.
Like it's everything. And I even, oh my gosh, the psychology behind the flu shot and flu shot shaming. Like when I sign in to my chart to see my doctor's visit notes and whatever, there's a like alert, the red notification that you get on social media or anything else, like a red notification, and it was like overdue for your flu shot. And because the human brain wants to check those items off the list, like when we see we have 7 messages on Instagram, we want to go through but respond to all of them. And just like seeing that in my health visit chart, to have that like a red notification, you're overdue. What that does, like I had to have this inner dialogue with myself that was like, I'm not gonna fall for that. That's like a psychological trick. I know what they're doing. And I can imagine there are other people who see that and they're like, oh, I gotta check this off the list, gotta get the flu shot.
Yeah.
Freak me out.
Yeah. I had a flu shot once in my entire life. I was a teenager, and after having had it, I had never been sicker. I
Wow.
was so sick when I got the flu shot. And we were still new to Canada. My parents didn't know, right? And that was the one and only time I've ever had a flu shot, and I've never had a flu shot, and I don't want to. I even heard rumors, because everything that we hear is rumors
Mm-hmm.
until we know it to be true or truth. Right? You know what I'm talking about. Um,
Eye
so,
patching.
so I heard that we are all going to be forced to have flu shots this year. That flu shots are going to be mandatory, and I know quite a few people that would be fuming. Um, I I'm not gonna lie, I'm not that educated when it comes to the vaccines. One of my friends is. She's really educated, and she always gives me shit for not educating myself. But at the same time, she dedicated and still dedicates a lot of time to it. This is kind of like a hobby in a way.
Right.
I have different interests. I have different hobbies, and yes, I do have my own beliefs when it comes to the vaccines. But it doesn't mean. And in the end, I do feel like sometimes I'm making an uninformed decision, because I can go and get informed, but there's so much information available out there. It will take me some time to get fully informed. And I know some people that are watching it, they're either gonna go one way or the other. Some people would one day might end up penalizing me for not being informed about vaccinations and vaccinating kids or pets or whatnot. Honestly, I my intuition does tell me that there's quite a bit off with it. Um, and I don't necessarily want to go deep into it because of the fear of what I will find out. And knowing how I am, it I don't like to get angry.
Mm.
And I don't like to I might end up being one of those people that will go and do a live video and really just explode on everyone about everything that's going on.
Sure.
Um, and unfortunately, that is not something that I don't believe I'm able to do as I'm building my business.
Yeah, and it's just, again, you mentioned intuition.
Mhm.
So even if you research and research and research, like all that research doesn't necessarily go to the heart or the third eye. It goes to the head. So
Yeah.
you might have all this research in your head space, and which is the same space where all those shoulds come up, like you should do this, you should do that. And the key word you said was intuition. Like no amount of research is going to sway your intuitive feeling.
Yeah. Yeah.
The intuition, the intuition knows. The intuition's never been wrong.
And the only time it's wrong is when we misinterpret intuition for something else.
Mm-hmm.
When we don't know how to listen to our intuition. Because most people don't know. Because most people were not taught from childhood to trust yourself. Trust yourself, you know best. Trust yourself, you have the answer. Trust yourself that whatever you're going through, it is for a reason. Trust the process. Trust yourself. Trust yourself that you will get through whatever it is that you're going through. Trust yourself and trust everything. And none of that, like, I have never heard that in school. I don't ever hear my kids talking about school in that way as well. They hear it from me, but like the thoughts and the words that were going to come out is that's not enough, but it's still better than nothing, right? It's hearing from.
It plants a strong seed that will grow, and they'll remember, oh, my mom told me to trust my intuition. Because school, thanks to the Industrial Revolution, since the Industrial Revolution, school has just been do what you're told, don't ask questions. So it leaves little room. Like I'm sure we can all remember times in school where our intuitions were like, I don't think the teacher should be talking to that kid that way, or just little moments where our intuition all along from the time we were kids, it's known. um I love this topic, and I would love to continue this, the intuition versus the shoulds in the head. I do have to hop off for the coven call.
Yeah, I know it's all.
Yeah. But I would love, like, seriously love to keep on this subject. I think it's so important.
Oh, I do too. This is something, intuition is something that I had been strengthening and working on for what, 3, 4 years now.
Mm.
And it doesn't happen overnight. But once we're able to know our intuition, just like it knows us, then we're able to work together and get what we really want from life
Mm-hmm.
and from ourselves based on our intuition and simply just trusting
Mm-hmm.
everything, even people in your life, trusting people in your life. That right there is the hardest thing for so many people. People don't trust people. And that's one thing that they do teach in school as well, one way or another. Don't trust that kid because, that kid will go and do something. Don't trust that. Don't trust that. Don't trust them. Don't trust them. Don't trust anyone.
Oh, as you're saying this, my heart's just breaking. I know, but it's true though. Those are the messages we get, and now this pandemic has amplified it. We can't even trust our neighbors now.
Yeah.
So
Can't even trust
that's
people.
why we're here. That's why we got Yana and myself, iPad coaches, and really what we do as coaches is help to uncover all the blocks preventing us from hearing clearly our intuition. So we are available for that kind of work.
Yeah. And building trust.
Yes. Building trust. Oh, I love that.
Yeah. Awesome. Well, you go and have fun with your girlies.
Thank you. I'll tell them you say hi and that to follow along for the puppy journey, because that'll make everyone so happy.
Oh yeah, it will be. I'll probably on her page if anything.
Yeah.
Not my empathy unicorn Insta.
Okay.
Yeah. Awesome. Yeah, you keep freezing like once in a while. That's why I'm like, I'm gonna wait until you
That'd be a
something.
combo.
Yeah.
Oh man, I need to figure something out. All right. Well, until next week, this was such a pleasure as always.
Yes, always, always, always. Awesome. I will miss you until next week.
I'll miss you too.
Yeah. Okay.
Much love.
Much love and have fun.
Thank
Bye.
you. You too. Bye.
Bye.